In my middle school years, I'd say about 7th grade or so, maybe around there, we had an option at Western Intermediate for a home ec type deal. And I was one of the only guys in that class to actually enjoy learning this, and part of that class I learned how to make pillows out of my specialty. So this weekend I put myself through a challenge, and it turned out okay. So for the first part of it, this thread's kind of light, so it's harder to see. You need to get the thread cut off and get it threaded through the hole. It's kind of tricky. Larger the hole, easier it gets. They suggest using about 2 arm lengths total for it. Then afterwards, you just spin it around the finger once. Depending on the thickness of the thread, you might have to do more than one. Then you roll it right off and then pull it tight until you have a nice, decent sized knot. Right about here. This way, it won't go through your material and it can actually stay stitched. Using a fabric, you want it inside out, so then when you flip it right side out, it stays stitched. And try to get the stitches as small as possible. I prefer stitching right close to the center and then pulling right through. And then for my type of stitching, which I find is actually the easiest of all, is the overhand stitch. So you just literally poke right next to it, make sure your thread is nice and straight, and then pull through. There we go. I use my finger to help guide my stitch so that it lands just right. Like so. And then you have a nice neat stitch. Do not mind if it goes at an angle, because though it depends, they say it's supposed to be straight, but unless you're using a machine, I highly doubt that's even going to be possible. Then you just keep going around. Get this one through. Pull it through. There. Don't want them interrupting, because then you might accidentally create a knot in it, which is a pain. And just continue going. For sewing, all you need is basically a needle. Depending on the type of material, this material is actually a lot thicker. So one of my really thin needles that I have in my container will not work. I actually tried on my main project and I broke the needle accidentally. It broke. It just couldn't withstand. Probably have some nice decent thread here. Color would depend on your material. I used black for my project, but it seems how it's a black and flame material. In case you make mistakes, a thread puller works well. You can use it to loop through your threads and pull it out or cut them. Using pins, which I forgot to do, is highly recommended, because then you can straighten out your material and get it to the size and shape you want, and use your pins just to pin through and hold the material in place, so it doesn't change or move as you stitch. Because this is smaller material and I'm more experienced with this, I really didn't need to, but I did with my main project. Large scissors for cutting your actual fabric. These can be any type of scissors, doesn't matter, you can use for anything. But when you come to certain scissors like these ones actually do need to be sharpened. They're kind of dull over the years, but you should have a pair of scissors when you do sewing by hand to actually for threads only. For that, probably a push pin helps, so you can stick your needle into if you need to switch up things. And just keep going. I probably won't be able to have the time to sew it, but for the final part, just knotting up, you stick your needle through, pull it close, pull the thread out, and it's actually fairly simple. Just run your needle right through the thread a couple times. Depending on your location, like if it's the seam length, I would probably do it 3. Just make sure it's nice and secure, and then you just pull it twice. Pull it close so you have a nice knot going on here. Then just run through it again. This way you can just make sure it's nice and secure. You also have to do this every time you want to restart your thread line. Then afterwards you want to try using your thread shears. Just try to cut real close to it, get as close to the knot as you can, and just snip. Very simple. you're all done, you can use stuffing. I have a large bag of it. It makes at least 2 pillows so far, and I still have a ton more. And then when you get it all stuffed up, you can get a nice project like this, and then you just use your needle. I ran through this a lot more than I kind of should have because the seam was coming apart when I was stuffing, and I didn't make the stuffing hole large enough. You want it large enough so you can stick your hand through when you're stuffing it with the stuffing. You want to make sure your hand can safely go through, and mine was just a bit too small, so it ripped. And this one, it doesn't matter if it shows, because this shows it's homemade. And I go over it plenty of times, as you can clearly see, because I want to make sure my seam line is very secure. This is the final hole. Then you can go through and make up any patchworks you need to be done. And all of that. Make sure it's nice, secured all around, no seams showing. Let's see the other one. I can't even find my other one. Wow, did that well. You've got a nice sweet pillow.